Oh, good morning to you. Welcome to Hordle and Tiptoe Online again on what's a pretty chilly morning as we record this one. My guest this morning is Frans Sehapeti. I hope I've got that pronunciation right. Frans is chaplain to the Seafarers Centre in Southampton. If I just give a little bit of a heads up on that. Seafarers Centre is a charity offering welfare, chaplaincy, mental health support and crisis response to seafarers and their families around the world. I took that off your website, Frans. I'm really grateful to you. It's lovely having you with us. I know that you originate from a much warmer country than this. It's pretty chilly at the moment. And I know that you've only recently been appointed to the chaplaincy in Southampton, where you were previously working in Tilbury. So could you tell us something about your journey through to this? It's fascinating. We're talking about your original in your home country, your journey of mission and faith there, and tell us something about the society. So welcome very much, Frans. Over to you. Do tell us your story. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. First of all, like you say, I am Indonesian. Actually, I'm already ordained as a parish priest in Indonesia after I finished my theology in university, in one of the best, I can say, university in Indonesia. And then I work as a parish priest in Indonesia in the small parish, but I love the parish that I work when the first time I become a priest. But suddenly, friend of mine offered me and asking me if I want to join with Indonesian Seafarers Ministry. Right. I thought, okay, I'm still young. I want to try something different. And then after a long process, and I'm qualified to become one of the chaplain in Indonesian Seafarers Ministry. And then, first of all, they sent me to Singapore to study English. And then after Singapore, I went to Europe, Antwerp, German for 5 months to training as the chaplain in some of the Seafarers Center in Europe. And I went back to Indonesia again to work as chaplain in the port called Batam Island in Riau. Right. But they have some kind of problem there, and then they closed it, and then they sent me to Philippines. Yeah. Again, some kind of learning process in Cebu and Manila in one the Seafarers Center also there. And I went back 2002, beginning of 2003 in Sumatra, in the port of Belawan, and start work as a chaplain in Indonesia, in the port of Belawan. But 2004, even though I already work in Belawan, but since 2004, I became employee by Sailor Society in Indonesia. So Sailor Society is the one pay my running costs in Indonesia since 2004. In end of 2005, they sent email for every chaplain around the world. Then they told us that they have a vacancy in Southampton and Immingham. So as a young chaplain, of course, I see the possibility there. I see opportunity there. But it's very difficult because at the time my English is very bad. So I can see I want to, but it's very, very difficult for me. But I believe that everything happened for the reason, and everything happened because of him.
Yes.
Until today, wonderful. I can say a lot of process from apply for the visa, I cannot get it, and a lot of things happened in Indonesia before I came here.
Right.
I have to say, and I told many people around me when they asked me why you come here, this is because of grace of God that He brought me here since 2006.
That's wonderful, Frans. That's wonderful to hear that.
Yeah. And I work in Southampton with ecumenical chaplain in Southampton Seafarers Center before.
Right.
So that's my story to come to the UK.
Okay, that's brilliant. Now, the Seafarers Society. I said to you before we started recording, I felt I wanted to get some sort of story. I knew the Christian organization working with seafarers. And I suppose it came from an article that I read of a crew that had been just sort of thrown off the ship. I think the ship had been deregistered or something like that in some port somewhere. And there they were, away from home, no money, I think some of them had lost or had their passports confiscated, etc. Such an horrendous situation. And I just saw this little bit that the Seafarers Society had helped these guys to sort it out. Can you tell us something about your work? Because obviously you've been with Seafarers Society, and I think you're working previously at Tilbury, Southampton now being we agreed it's what our second largest container port. All nationalities must come and go from there. Can you tell us something about the work of the society, please?
Talk about the work that I have. I agree with you that a lot of chaplain around the world, include Sailor Society chaplain, do a lot of things for seafarers to make them comfortable, to make them feel at home, right, to make them feel homey when they right, are far away from home. Mm. That's why I think Sailor Society, for example, it's more than 200 years start in this ministry for seafarers. Right. So it's quite older, oldest charity for seafarers compared to another charity for seafarers. So right, we quite old.
Yeah, I meant Sailor Society. Yeah.
Sailor Society.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to pick up one of the story that I did for the seafarers. For example, talk about mental health, for example. It's just one of the examples when I'm in Tilbury. Yeah. I have to deal with one guy. He has to come back to work again, even though he knows that he has a problem with mental health. But when he is on the ship, he found very, very difficult work. Every times when he saw my messenger is show that I'm online, he tried to call me just to speak with me all the time, just to speak with me and share the feeling he has with me. But in the end, after 2 months, he has to go home, and we try very hard to allow him to go home, because if he go home and he has to pay for his flight and everything, it will be difficult for him. But we try to help him with my colleague in another port, and we try, and he, in the end, he go home. But I just want, this is just one of example, and another, they have a couple of also, but it's just sad that he has to sacrifice in this job, come, even though he has a mental health problem, but he want to provide the better future for the family he has. But in the end, he cannot make it. And now he's at home. But I just feel that when he called me and I tried to be there and support him and talk and listen to him, give my ear to him all the time when he need night, day, Saturday, Sunday, when he call me, when he see I'm online in Messenger, and he tried to call me all the time. And that is quite some kind of, I'm quite happy that I'm there for him.
Well, it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful story of ministry, isn't it? Wonderful.
But I don't know how to deal with mental health at the time. I'm not expert in the mental health, but to listen to.
You were a listener.
Listen to him because he just needs friend, because he cannot share everything with his friend on the ship. He don't want to.
No,
but
of course
to listen for somebody like us, as a chaplain, it will be good for him. But I have to say that it's hard for him, and better for him to go home at the time, and then he's
so
go home.
Some idea of some of the work that you do. Now, the Sailor Society. Can you tell us something about? You've obviously been with it now for quite a while. You're speaking about Indonesia, etc. It's a global organization, a global Christian organization. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell us sort of how big it is? Where the countries? How many countries do you operate in, and how is it run?
I believe Sailor Society they have a chaplain or center in Indonesia. They have at least I know 3 in Indonesia, and more than 3 in Philippines, 1 in Singapore, India couples, Myanmar, Belgium, Russia, Ukraine, Africa, Brazil, many in Brazil, actually. Yeah.
Right.
So we quite, one of the seafarers, for example, he is very nice guy, and this is just one of the example. Everywhere he go, and he know that they have a Sailor Society chaplain, and he try to find them, and he will send photo to all of us that, hey, I meet Sailor Society chaplain there in Brazil or in Port Buri or in Antwerp. So it's quite nice of him, and it's just one of the example how we kind of link between one and another to support the seafarers. Even though the organization is not Sailor Society, but if seafarers need something, I have one case in Greece, for example. I know him when he is in Tilbury. Suddenly he has an accident and he has to stay in the hospital quite some times. It's very bad illness. And then I have to find any chaplain in Greece to visit him. And because he is Filipino, he needs rice, for example. And he sent a photo to me when the chaplain brought him rice, even rice cooker to him so he can cook rice in the hospital.
Okay.
So it's quite nice. The link
lovely.
We have to support seafarers everywhere around the world.
Right. That's a lovely story, isn't it? So it really is quite a global organization. Is it sort of based somewhere? Where is it based, and how is it funded? Frans, please.
I'm not clear now how first of all, the head office in Southampton.
Oh, really?
They're in Southampton, yes.
Oh, right.
They're in Southampton.
Okay.
And I know that they have a fundraising team. They have people work very hard.
Right.
But it's already 1 year, and now in 2021 when like everything is like stopped.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
To make it a more event, for example, it's very difficult nowadays to have an event to find to organize event to find the money.
Yeah.
So actually, since last year and now, it's all the charity like Sailor Society and our partner.
Yeah, all the charities are suffering.
Very hard time.
Yeah. So you actually run from Southampton. You obviously got quite a global stretch there. When we're looking at it, do you work on your own? Do you just have one representative in each port, and do you know, how do you manage to get your message across to sailors in general? They just know about you and come to you?
In Southampton, we have 3 different organizations. Stella Maris, and then it's based in Catholic organization, and then Mission to Seafarers is based of Church of England. Sailor Society is more ecumenical church.
Right. Yeah.
So open church. I mean, not ecumenical, open church for this organization. But Mission to Seafarers is based in a Church of England organization, attached with Church of England, and Stella Maris is attached with Catholic organization.
Okay.
So in Southampton, we have 3 of us work together as a team.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's great, isn't it?
We share the port, we share the problem if they have. Yes.
Yeah. Now, I imagine that obviously coronavirus, I know, has affected everything, and it is really tough. But how has it affected, well, seafaring in general? This may seem a rather silly question to ask, but can you give us some idea of how it? Because obviously, it's a world that unless you worked in it, you probably don't know. I mean, I don't really know a lot about it, but I just sort of think about people that wake up. They one day they're in you mentioned Antwerp, and a few days' time they could be in Rio de Janeiro or wherever. It's such an unusual lifestyle. How has the virus affected, and has that as well impacted really severely for people?
It's you're right, Tim. It's at the time like we met seafarers 18 months not going home because of they cannot find replacement, for example. A lot of people for a year, or maybe one of the captain, that good friend of mine, 13 months never go out.
Really?
So when he left home, I think he landed in Philippines last week, and he just feel amazing that he already home.
Then he's
But
got
yeah,
home at last.
they try to find a way to accept it, because that is global things happen around the world.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's last few days, for example, it's for me in this job, it's very compared to normal days when I have before in the past, it's just different. We try to not to go to mess room. We try to not to spend time together with the seafarers for long times.
Right.
So at the time, we just try to be there. We try to visit every ship we can to show that hey, we are there. If you need something, we will try to help. Like for example, a lot of seafarers ask to buy something in Tesco, food, chocolate, anything.
Right.
Today, I just dropped one jacket I bought in Argos, for example.
Right.
He's quite happy with that because he cannot go out and he will go home on Saturday. But it's nice to wearing a nice jacket because he don't have any jacket in this
All
weather.
right.
So he asked me to buy him jacket, and I bought it for him today, and I just dropped to him today, and he's
Okay.
so happy that he received that jacket. But
It's
yeah,
brilliant.
every day me as a person, as a chaplain, every day in this difficult time, I try to make them believe that we are there, or I am there for them. And that's my contact, that's my email. If you need something necessary, please let us know. Call me anytime, and then I will try my best to help. And yeah, it's happened, and we try our best to help them. But we give a lot of woolly hats at the moment, gloves, because you can imagine the weather is crazy for many people like us, many people like me, like we come from Indonesia or Philippines or India.
Well, we were laughing about it before. Yes,
Yes,
you must be really feeling this. You must wonder why you came to England at the moment, don't you?
Oh, when I came first time in Southampton in Thornhill Baptist Church, and first time I introduced myself in the church, and I said I used 2 duvet to cover myself. 2 duvet to cover myself when the first time I came to, and everybody laughed.
Yeah. So you were mentioning, I mean, your work, and it's interesting. The recent chats that I've done, we've had people talking about what they're doing really on the ground, and it just it comes to me all the time as being the hands and the feet of Christ. Basics Bank and one or two others, and being the hand, and your work is being the hands and feet of Christ. That is exactly what our Lord would do. That's exactly what he commissioned us to do, the sort of thing.
Yes,
the jacket
absolutely.
from Argos or whatever it is, that's the reality. So can I take it, I mean, just in the practical terms, that the guys, when they dock, they're not allowed ashore. They have to stay on board ship all the time, do they?
At the moment in Southampton, nobody allowed, and we cannot take them in the car too,
right?
Because of the COVID.
Right.
But hopefully soon, I love to do more like I did in the past for them.
So when you say you did in the past, would that involve you going on board, and
yes.
I mean, presumably you've got Christians, you've got interfaith, and those of non-faith, mixed crews, presumably, normally.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my background as Indonesian, I met a lot of Indonesian that they are also, for example, Muslim. Most of them is Muslim.
Yeah.
But to know, to show my face and to do good things for them, and they make them believe that, hey, they have somebody, they have a stranger do something for us. And they will question themselves that, yes, they have something that they believe that, as a Christian, we share love for them. And that is a lot of things that I do for many Indonesian seafarers, that they believe that, yes, we do something good for them as a Christian. I cannot do it in Indonesia like this, but in here, I'm so joy that I can do. Every day when I drive my car home, even today, that even small things that I did, but I'm so happy because every day I pray hard. Every morning before I go, I pray hard that I just want to meet 1 or 2 person to share, to listen. And, he provide the person for me every single day to talk, to listen. and to support, not just to listen, but support them, to make them believe that yes, your future is not just for yourself, but for family at home, for the kids, for the wife, to make them have a better future for one day. Because my point is, I never talk about just you as a seafarers in this port, but also you sacrifice, they sacrifice in this job because of the children at home and the family, extension family in the Philippines or Indonesia or India, when we have a lot of extension, bigger extension family that we have to look after.
Right.
So it's important for them to sacrifice, and they make them feel good, and they accept this job, and then they can provide the better life for their family at home. This is the things that I try every day to support them if I can, because Tim, this is hard job to see them every day stand outside with the cold weather. I can see myself how hard they have to sacrifice in this job, and sometimes I cry with them because it's very hard life, but they have to do that because they have to provide the better life for their family. People sometimes think that oh, seafarers has a good money. No, after 2-3 months, sometimes when they go home, 2-3 months or maybe 5 months, in the COVID like this, sometimes they stay for 8 months or maybe more because they don't have a replacement, they don't have a job. Cruise ship, for example, at the moment, I come from Tilbury when a lot of cruise ship in Tilbury, 5 or 7 in Tilbury, stuck there for almost a year, that we have to look after them. But after they go home, they cannot find a job for a long time.
Right.
Because no any business accept them to work.
Yeah, so the cruise companies are suffering enormously, aren't they? And
absolutely.
I mean, we're down, as you know, we're just outside on the coast, just outside Southampton, and we see the cruise ships that are anchored down in the bay off Swanage, and my understanding is that they're crewed, and I guess that those guys are stuck there, but there must be a tremendous number of redundancies and so forth. So is that impacting back home then, France, and that's giving an even harder time for your people in Indonesia, Philippines, etc., is it?
This is just for my family, for example, Tim. My brother, also chief engineer somewhere in Malaysia.
Okay.
He's already more than a year now. Why? Because he has to stay on board because he has 3 kids in the university.
Oh, really?
My cousin worked as a cruise ship. His wife in Chile. He married with his partner from Chile.
Yeah.
And they have 2 daughters now in Chile. Both of them now not have a job. You can imagine how hard life at the moment for some of them.
Very hard. Yeah.
So not just for them, but the family, children, education, and daily life. It's very hard for many of them.
Yeah. And France, sort of looking at it there, and you're obviously a man of great Christian conviction, and it really is lovely talking to someone like you that has such conviction. When you wake in the morning and you think about all these people, because you are dealing presumably with people all the time that are ringing you or are contacting that have problems, and your work, from what you're saying, is dealing with problems and supporting people all the time. Do you sometimes look and think, where is God in this?
As a parish priest in Indonesia, when I already work with him, that's why I like this job, because as a parish priest, I will look after member of the parish, and every time I just deal with them.
Yeah.
But as a chaplain, every single day, I meet different people. This is make me every morning I'm exciting because
that's wonderful, isn't it?
Yes, because I have to meet people every day. Today I meet Ukraine, I meet Portuguese, I meet Romanian, I meet Philippine. It's different story. Ukraine, for example, today he said that his father already left him when he is still baby, but his mom struggled to make him better person now, and now he become. And then Portuguese, for example, his daughter is already 27 years old, still live with them in Portugal. But I say, why you are not allow her to go out and find her own life, but he said, no, it's better live with us because my wife is alone at home. But this is just little story every single day. And I try to be there and listen a lot of things every single day. And sometimes you cry with them actually, because how to make decision to become a seafarers, it's very hard decision for every seafarers, because hard life and then far away from home, this is not easy.
And uncertainty, yeah. Gosh, that is not easy, not at all.
Yeah, not at all, yeah.
So just looking just at your own sort of path, looking ahead, you obviously speak with such passion, and do you feel that this is where God has really called you to stay, or do you think that God will call you elsewhere? Because you really are, I would say, an international ambassador for faith. You're talking about the various nationalities that you meet. You're Indonesian yourself. You've got a connection there, and it's so lovely to meet someone like you that goes outside the boundaries of race or nation or whatever, and just brings God's love to everyone.
Sorry, Tim, your question?
Sorry.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry. Where do you see God sort of leading you? You've got a sort of wonderful ministry now. This is. Do you see yourself moving on? Do you see you developing this ministry more?
Honestly, Tim, work with Sailor Society is the charity that I start with since in Indonesia, and they brought me here, and the system they have that it's make me comfortable with so far. So I will love to continue to work with Sailor Society if I can, if they survive in this situation, in this difficult time, in this challenging time. So I hope that I can. But I don't know anybody but I know myself that I love this job, to see the young, old, woman, man, every nationality in this situation every morning, every day that I meet them. This is just that I don't know anybody, but I love this job. I told any seafarers that I share with them that if you love the job as a seafarers, many European like British, German, Dutch, that I meet them, they love this job. But if you meet Russia, Ukraine, Philippines, India, they do the job because of the money. Because compared to the job today, the Ukraine guy say, I asked him, if you have a good friend in Ukraine and he or she work as a teacher, how much he will get a salary? He said, maybe $300. And you get, as a third officer, maybe you get a $3,000, for example. So that is good money for many. But I just want to make sure that, please, love your job. It's important to love your job.
That's a wonderful thing.
Like I did. I love the job. I love to see every seafarers every single day. I'm excited to wake up in the morning and to see what is God will show me his way to meet the person that I have to meet every single day. That is amazing. That because I love the job very much. That's why many friends, good friends, they know me and they say, Franz, you have to look after yourself too. You cannot look after seafarers all the time. Yeah, but I understand because I come from almost same country, that the goal is almost same with them, that we want to provide the better value of life for the family we have. And that's why if they need something Saturday, Sunday, nighttime, I try to be there because I love the job and I want make sure that they also in the good condition.
They are your family.
Yes, they are
you
my
have
family.
A massive extended family, Franz, don't you?
Yes, I do. Tim, the job I have now is, the important thing for me is build the relationship with the seafarers and make them feel comfortable. They make them feel that they know that they have a family, they have a friends, they have a home for them in Southampton or everywhere when the seafarer center is. So that is my goal, actually.
Well, do you know, it's been it's been a delight talking to you. It really has been. And your faith, your love of the Lord, your practical working is such an example to all of us. It's been an absolute joy in these rather gloomy times for you to bring that great sort of, I won't say it's a thunderbolt almost of faith to us. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Tim.
We pray for your work. I think what I will do is I'll ask you when we stop recording, if you can send us a link to the Sailors Society, if people want to just sort of look them up and find out a little bit more. I'm sure that they're also looking for donations or anything like that. That isn't the reason really that we do these chats, but if anyone wants to support, France has given us a very, very good idea of the sort of work that they're doing. And I think that we've all been enthralled by it. So we wish you warmer days, and may God speed your work. And France, we just thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight meeting you. Thank you.
Tim, okay, yes, thank you.
Okay.